In 1998, one company made nearly half of every phone sold on Earth. 15 years later, it was gone. Nokia didn't start as a phone company at all. It began in 1865 as a Finnish paper mill on a riverbank, decades before anyone dreamed of wireless calls. Over the next century, it drifted through rubber boots, cables, and electronics before settling on an unlikely bet: mobile phones. By the 1980s, that bet was already paying off. By the 1990s, Nokia phones were everywhere, simple, tough, and impossible to kill. Drop one down a stairwell, run it over with a car, the phone would still ring. That reputation became the brand. By 2007, Nokia controlled roughly half the entire global phone market. No company before or since has come close. Not Samsung, not Apple, not anyone. That kind of dominance breeds something dangerous: certainty. Meetings ran long, decisions ran slow, and nobody inside seemed worried. Certainty was about to become Nokia's biggest liability. Here's the twist. Nokia's own labs had built working touchscreen prototypes years before anyone else. They just never shipped them. Internal committees kept finding reasons to wait. Then, in January 2007, Steve Jobs walked on stage and introduced the iPhone. It had no keypad, no stylus, and barely any buttons at all. Nokia's world was about to end. Inside Nokia, executives reportedly waved it off. Too expensive, too fragile, a toy for early adopters, not a real phone. History would prove them catastrophically wrong. Nokia's software, Symbian, had been built for keypads and menus, not fingers sliding across glass. Rewriting it from scratch would take years Nokia didn't have. Worse, Symbian ran on dozens of phone models with different screens, chips, and menus. A maintenance nightmare no rival had to deal with. Meanwhile, Google gave away a free operating system called Android to any phone maker willing to use it. Samsung, HTC, and Motorola all said yes. Apple opened an app store. Nokia offered OV Store, clunky, slow, and nearly empty by comparison. Nokia's touchscreen phones used older resistive screens that needed a hard press. Apple's screen responded to the lightest touch. Piece by piece, customers started drifting away. The cracks were small at first, then they weren't. Analysts began asking the question nobody at Nokia wanted to hear. Inside Nokia, teams competed against each other instead of the outside world. Two internal projects, Symbian and a new system called MeeGo, fought for the same future. MeeGo's flagship phone, the N9, earned praise from reviewers who called its design years ahead of its time. Nokia killed the project before it ever got a real launch. Instead of fixing the culture, leadership blamed the engineers, the market, even bad luck. Nobody asked the harder question: why did decisions take so long? By 2010, the numbers told the real story. Nokia's share of the smartphone market was already sliding, fast, down double digits in a single year. In September 2010, Nokia hired its first outsider CEO, Stephen Elop, a Microsoft executive. A few months in, Elop sent a memo comparing Nokia to a man standing on a burning oil platform, forced to jump into freezing water just to survive. The memo leaked to the press within days. Employees were stunned. Their own CEO had just called the company a sinking ship. Elop's fix was radical: kill Symbian, kill MeeGo, and bet the entire company on an operating system Nokia didn't even own. There was no plan B. In February 2011, Nokia and Microsoft announced a sweeping partnership. Every future Nokia smartphone would run Windows Phone. Nokia's own operating systems were dead within days. One analyst summed up the reaction perfectly: two struggling giants joining forces don't automatically make one winner. The first Lumia phones arrived in late 2011, genuinely well-built hardware wrapped around the wrong ecosystem at the wrong time. Reviewers liked the hardware, buyers didn't care. Developers weren't interested. Why build an app for a platform with almost no users left to download it? Most people were already deep into iOS or Android. Their photos, contacts, and apps locked them in. Switching cost more than most were willing to pay. Despite big marketing budgets, Lumia sales came in far below what Nokia and Microsoft had promised investors. Nokia's smartphone market share, once near 50%, fell into the single digits within just a few years, one of the fastest falls a market leader has ever suffered. Investors watched Nokia's stock price collapse by more than 90% from its earlier highs. Tens of thousands of jobs disappeared. Factories that once ran around the clock fell silent, and entire towns built around Nokia felt the shock. In Finland, Nokia hadn't just been a company. It had been a source of national pride. Its fall felt personal. In September 2013, Nokia sold its entire phone business to Microsoft for about $7 billion. The deal that was supposed to save Nokia's phones ended up burying the brand instead. Stephen Elop walked away with a payout worth tens of millions of dollars and returned to Microsoft. Some called it the most expensive memo ever written. Within 2 years, Microsoft wrote off billions on the deal and shut the Lumia line down entirely. The Nokia phone, as the world knew it, was dead. What survived wasn't the phone. It was the older Nokia, the one that builds cell towers and network equipment behind the scenes, quietly profitable while the famous brand faded. The first lesson: having the technology first means nothing if you're too afraid to ship it. A prototype in a drawer helps no one. The second, bureaucracy is a luxury only slow-moving markets can afford, and smartphones were never slow-moving. The third, a great phone loses to a great ecosystem every single time. Apps, accounts, and habits matter more than hardware ever did. Nokia wasn't the first giant to fall this way, and it wouldn't be the last. Just ask Kodak or Blockbuster or any company that once thought its lead was permanent. Today, the Nokia name still exists, stamped onto budget Android phones made by a completely different company. The engineers, the culture, the empire, none of that remains. Nokia didn't lose because it lacked genius. It lost because genius sat in a drawer too long. If stories like this pull you in, subscribe for the next collapse.